Good afternoon.
Continue from where we stopped yesterday. To continue from where we stopped yesterday, and we were on this exact slide. We're on this exact slide. So, which is basic spreadsheet skills for administrative virtual assistants. Basic spreadsheet skills for an administrative virtual assistant. So, as an admin VA, you are going to be using um doing a lot with Google Spreadsheet, and it's aside even data entry, you are going to be using Google Spreadsheet a whole lot. And you know, spreadsheets are essential for data organization, for financial management, for reporting, for planning, even for calculation actually, yeah. And as a VA, you are going to need a spreadsheet for clients, contact database, um, project tracking sheet, time tracking and billing, expense tracking, inventory management, event planning, even content creation. Yes, you are going to need a spreadsheet so you can put content creation into a spreadsheet, budget management. You might have a list of tasks and you want to attach the status to it. A spreadsheet is your go-to tool. It might be like you need an attendance tracking for a particular meeting. A spreadsheet is your go-to tool. And Google Sheets is a cloud-based tool which auto saves. You can collaborate on it. It is free. It works anywhere with internet. With it has a lot of features you can actually explore, and it's just like a very complete tool for an admin virtual assistant. And most VAs use Google Sheets for collaboration. You would not want that situation whereby, okay, maybe you have something on your sheet and you're trying to get it across to someone else, and there is difficulty. With Google Sheets you don't have to do all of that, because all you need to do is just to collaborate. Like, you can share, and while you are sharing also, you have to manage access. And managing access basically is that you allow anyone with a link to actually view. You can put it on the view. If it's somebody that you want them to be able to edit or to be able to comment, you just put any of the options that works best for you. So the spreadsheet has quite a number of features. It has the column, it has the rows, it has the cells, it has the range, it has the workbook, it has the sheet or the tab. And I feel this aspect will be best explained if it is a practical class, which we'll still actually go into much later. So, for for an administrative virtual assistant, yeah, you are going to need, as I stated earlier, you are going to need spreadsheets for a number of things. Number one is like a client contact database. And on this database, you are going to need a lot of things on your, like, input a lot of things on your column. So you might have your client's name, you might have the company, you might have the email, you have the phone number, start date, end date, payment terms, status. So that's that for if you are using a spreadsheet for a database. If you are using a spreadsheet to track, like, to track a project, you definitely have columns that will have the project name, the client, the date, start date, the end date, the people you assign to, status, priority, and all of that. That is if you actually decide not to use a project management tool. which I highly recommend that you actually use a project management tool, because on spreadsheet you on spreadsheets you have to input all of these things yourself. But say you are using ClickUp or you are using Trello, you have everything there already. It's just to input the projects, maybe like the deadlines and all of that. You don't have to start imputing column by column. You can also use spreadsheets for time tracking. So let's say there is something that you need to do, and you just need someone to track time and all of that. You need a time tracking sheet. So you just go to your spreadsheet, is your go-to, maybe you need maybe you need expense tracking sheets, maybe you need content. I mentioned earlier that even content calendar, you can actually have a content calendar on a spread. In fact, that is your best bet, because if you are going to be using a document, you have to still insert the tables yourself one after the other. But with spreadsheet, the tables, like, it has the cells and the columns already. You just input what you want to be on the column, say like the platforms, the um the dates, the platforms, content type, topic, status, images, notes, and what have you, which it comes really easy. And when you are about to now share with your clients, it does not have to now be that you are writing it out or maybe you are printing it out or something. All you need to do is just to share. And I said earlier that when you are sharing, make sure you manage access. And managing access is that make sure you ensure that anyone that has your link can view, at least at the barest minimum they should be able to view. They should not be requesting access, especially if it is you that copied the link and sent it to them. They should be able to view. So, and if it's somebody that you are collaborating with, is a team member that you work together or something, you can allow them to comment, you can allow them to edit as well. So that way your work is seamless, very, very seamless. You can use a spreadsheet for meeting attendance tracker. So there's a meeting coming up and you need a tracker and all of that. You don't have to start bringing out a paper and a pen or something and you start using ruler to rule and all of that. A spreadsheet does that for you accurately. You want to track budgets, a spreadsheet is your go-to tool. So now let's go to common mistakes to avoid when you are using a spreadsheet. And number one is merging cells. In fact, this is like a very, very common mistake. You should not merge cells. No, because merging cells actually breaks all your sorting, all your filtering, your formula solution. It breaks them. So instead of doing that, you can just use um you can just use, like, I don't know how to explain it now. It's playing in my head. Center across selection, like you select, then you can maybe copy or do whatever you actually want to do. But selecting, like, across the whole column still, across the whole cells rather, still works better than you merging the cells. It's going to break a lot of sorting and filtering that you have done. Then maybe you want to align, the way we align on our on documents. You're now using space. It's going to look bad rather. It's going to use look bad. So instead of doing that, there's a cell alignment option that you can use. Actually, all these things will be best spoken about um having to having to use mouth. They will be best to actually practicalize, of which I'm actually promising you that we are still going to get to that, to practicalizing most of the things that we have spoken about in the course of this training. There is also not using absolute reference. when needed, and there is also inconsistent data entry. So let's say you use client A, you spelled it as capital letter C L, capital letter C, then maybe small letter LIENT, then capital letter A. Then maybe in the next cell you are now writing it in small letters all through. You are not consistent with your data entry, and that's going to affect all your settings, like all your sorting and filtering. So that is basically all about basic spreadsheet skills for administrative virtual assistant. So now we'll be going into task and project coordination. We'll be going into task and project coordination, which is a like managing tasks for clients is like a is one of the roles, or is one of the skills you would actually really need as an administrative virtual assistant. You might be asking, what is task management? Task management is the process of capturing all tasks and commitments, organizing them logically, prioritizing what matters, tracking progress, completing work on time, and reporting status. So that is basically what tax management is. I'll go over it again. You, in tax management, you capture all the tax and maybe all the commitment of your clients and everything. You organize them, you prioritize the ones that matters, you track the progress after you have prioritized and maybe you started carrying out all the tasks. You track progress, you complete those tasks on time, and you report the status of the tax to your client. So it is like a cycle. It is like a cycle. And why tax management is um is critical is because, let's say for instance, you don't have a system that you're working with, your tax will be forgotten. You will miss deadlines. Your priorities will be unclear. Your clients will not even trust you with their business. You get, you, and even for yourself, you'll be constantly stressed, anxiety will set in, and that's like an open letter to burnout. But when you have a good system for your tax management, nothing is forgotten. You have clear priorities. You are proactive with your work. Your client is confident rather, that I can go and sleep. This person is going to, my VA is up to task. He or she is going to, you know, perform everything. You get, and stress will be reduced, obviously. So as an administrative virtual assistant, you should have good system, like a working system for your tax management. You should have a working system for your tax management. So now we'll be talking about tax. We'll be talking about the VA's tax management challenge. So the challenges most VA face is that they have, number one, they have multiple clients. What I'm trying to say is that as a virtual assistant, one of the challenges that you are going to be facing when you are managing tax is, number one, you have multiple clients. When you have multiple clients, you are going to have different priorities, different deadlines, different um client commitments. So that is a challenge. That's a big challenge. You even have yourself, like, because I said it earlier that you are a virtual assistant, you are a professional as well, and you are building your career. So most of these things that you are even doing for businesses, personal brands, and all of that, you will actually need to also do the same for yourself. You get, so, another challenge is you yourself, your own VA business task, then different type of work. So let's say as an admin virtual assistant, you will not say because you're an admin VA, the only clients you want to work with are clients that are in the administrative, roles, or maybe administrative part of a particular business or something. You're going to work with clients from different walks of life. You work with people in the admin space, you work with creatives, you work with people in the technical space, you get. So that's also a challenge, you get. And another challenge is, you are going to have various urgency levels. So client A tax might be urgent, like highest priority. Client B's tax might be, well, maybe not very urgent, but to their own on their own level as well, they are urgent. So at the end of the day, you have like everybody having tasks that are urgent. So that's also a challenge. So you might ask, enough of the challenges actually. So you might ask, how do I now, how do I how do I go about this? What's the solution to all of these challenges? The solution is that you must have a working system, and your system must be able to capture everything reliably. After you've captured, all your tasks and all, you should be able to also make priorities obvious. Like, okay, do I need to do this now? Do I need to do that now? Okay, client A wants me to get this done, but client B's tax is actually, if we don't do it today, maybe that's there's a deadline. So you obviously know that, oh, I have to do for client B first, then I come back to client A. You get. Show what is next. Like, it is part of you having a system. Your system should be able to have, step by step. Okay, this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D. So show what is next. Track your status. Track the status of those tasks. Track the status of those of your client's business. You have to be able to do that. Be and your system should also be able to, maintain all of these tasks easily and scale with growth. And scale with growth. So we'll be moving to tax intake and clarification. Tax intake and clarification. So um we'll talk about tax intake first, and it's just basically how tax are being assigned to you. Tax can come from, anywhere and everywhere. It can come as an email, like through an email. It can come through verbal instruction. It can come through maybe your organization, the organization you work with, have a communication channel, maybe Slack or Teams or anything. Your task can come from that. It can even come from any of these project management tools. I had worked with someone before that the guy does not talk to me. All I need to do is I wake up early Monday morning. Everything he wants me to complete for that week is already on our Trello board, so I just go there and get it done. Yes, there can be management platforms which I mentioned, maybe, all any of these project management, or maybe that can even come from your own observation. Maybe you've seen that, oh, my client actually goes to a particular board meeting late, and you think about it. What is holding this client? Why does he or she goes late? Oh, it is because he or she has to complete something. You can help out with that thing so that your client ends up, going early for the meeting. You understand? And when you receive task, you should have a step by step process that those tasks go through. Number one is you capture them immediately. If it is that you want to write it down, or you want to add it to your tax system, you might have a project management system or something. Please, you put it there. You can include the source as in who requested and when, like everything that is pertaining rather to that tax. Make sure you impute, you capture it, even if you are not clear first. Just write it in your in your system. You need to do this. Then the step two is now you now clarifying clarifying. So before you now go ahead, you might schedule a meeting with the person that you would love to, before you start working on this client, you would love to understand what exactly needs to be done, why they need that thing, like the purpose, when, maybe like deadline or like a target date or something, who is involved, you know, who is involved, how they would want you to do it, and where they would want you to actually deliver. Yes. And this is what will now lead us to the clarification questions. So when tax is unclear, you have to ask questions in a very polite way. So you can come off as, maybe the person has that conversation with you and you're like, okay, just to confirm, do you mean I should? Just to confirm, you would like the report in PDF format? You understand? You can say something like, oh, could you help me understand what the end result of this task should look like? Could you help me understand what your priorities are if I can't complete everything? Like, you ask clarifying question. It is better to ask before starting than you just now end up doing everything wrongly. You get, so you should ask clarifying questions. You should ask clarifying questions. Now, there's your tag should have titles, and just as we spoke about while we're talking about documenting data, filing, organization, and all of that. There's a way you should actually there's a way you should actually document your task. There's a way you should document. That is why these project management tools have just made everything very easy. On all those platforms, you have the task title, you have description, you have deadline, you have what else is usually there? You Some will even ask for who requested it, any notes, maybe like an external note or something. Some will have it there. So you should be able to like imbibe these best practices. It is for your own good actually. It's not even for your client, it's actually for you, so that you'll be able to track correctly. You'll be able to track correctly. An example of a good tax title is draft Q2 newsletter for clients A. You should not just write newsletter. What is the newsletter about? So you should write meeting. Which meeting? Which meeting? Update website. Which update? Exactly. But when you have your tax title as draft Q2 means quarter 2 newsletter for client A. You already know that, okay, this is the draft of the quarter 2 newsletter that client A usually send out. So you have the draft already. You don't have any issue. It is all done. You get, it is all done. Another example, let me think about another example. So let's say there's an update that wants to happen on the website, and you just update website contact page with new phone number. Like, somebody that is not even a layman will even carry it, and they already understand what that thing is what that thing is about. So please make sure you name your tax. You title them correctly. Correctly. Also in tax, there is tax prioritization. It's just as we spoke about during while we're talking about time management. We spoke about prioritization. Also, while we're talking about email management, we also spoke about prioritization. Now, this is tax management. we're also going to talk about prioritization, and it's still like the four prior, priority, the four. There is this Eisenhower metric box that breaks power breaks tasks into different levels of priority. And as you all know, the first one is urgent plus important. These are tasks that requires true emergency, like you have to do them immediately. The number two is not urgent but important. So maybe there's a process improvement, or you can still schedule a particular time to get them done, because they are not like urgent, they are important, but it's not like an emergency. They are urgent but not important. So if they are urgent but they are not really important, you can just delegate it out. Yeah, you can just delegate those kind of tasks out. Then there is not urgent and not important. Those ones, they are time wasters. You just delete them, you get. So those are the four matrix priority matrix rather, for um tax management. So there are some times that when everything feels urgent, number one thing to do is to list all the tasks. Number two is ask some questions. What happens if you don't get it done? Who is impacted? And number three is for you to communicate. So now we'll be moving to tax status communication. Why it is very important to be proactive with status update matters. And number one is that you are going to gain your clients confidence. Yes, you are going to gain your clients confidence. There is nothing like, if you are proactive with updates, you have their confidence. And if you are also proactive with updates, you can easily adjust plan. You can easily come up with ideas when issues surface. So these are the reasons why you should actually be proactive with updates. If you don't give updates, if you don't give status updates, your clients will wonder if you are working. They are just like, okay, is this girl working or is this guy working? They don't even know if there's a problem you are facing. They can't adjust priorities. They are surprised at deadlines. You get. So these are the reasons why it is important to be proactive with status updates. So you can decide to um give your client status updates frequently. Yours might be daily, it might be daily, yours might be weekly, it might be project based, like, oh, you can say, oh, I'm 25% done, I'm 50% done, I'm 80% done. If it is daily, you can decide to have like a end of the day brief meeting. If it is weekly, you can decide to have like end of the week summary. You get. So these are the cultures you should actually you know imbibe. So right now I would love to talk about how to communicate problems. How to communicate problems. You should not, when there's a problem, you should not just say, I can't do this. There's a problem. No, you should not communicate it that way. There's a framework, which is that you state the problem, you state what you have done already, like what you have tried, what solution you've actually come up with. Number three is that you should state options for moving forward. Number four is your own recommendation, and you ask for your clients input. So it is not enough that you've gotten, like, there is a problem, you've preferred solution, and you have moved on. You will still have to actually ask for your clients input into what you have said. You get, into what you have said. Then every client actually wants to know that you take ownership of their business. they want to be sure, they want to actually know that, oh, this person this person takes ownership of my business. This person has my best interest at heart, you get. And one way, one best way to do that is, you know, for you to communicate problems in a good way. In a good way, you should not just be, carefree about, okay, they are the one having problem, what's my own, I don't need to, I don't need to even be removed, so I don't even need to. No, 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 you should actually take ownership of your client's business. So, and another thing I want us to talk about, which is still under task status communication, is when maybe a task is completed, how do you communicate it? How do you communicate it? You should not just say the task is done, or you just tell them done. No, you let them know, okay, I'm done with this task, this is where you are going to find it. You can add any relevant notes with it. You can add, like, you can ask them a what next question. Let's say maybe um it's a step by step task. So you've completed a particular step, so you are looking forward to hearing from them for the next, text. So you had the question, what next? And you also ask for feedback if needed. You ask for feedback if needed. So an example is, the Q1 report is complete and saved in the report folder link, or report folder. Yeah. I included the comparison charts you requested and added a summary section at the top. You see that that's like, straightforward, and just straightforward, just straightforward. So that is how you actually communicate when a tax is completed. So this aspect that we are actually going into, somebody asked the question in yesterday's class, and the question was that, how do I, juggle different clients. So right now we want to talk about the multi-client challenge, like how you actually juggle multi-client task. One thing is that every client thinks they are the only client. See, in fact, it is not in your own place as a VA to actually tell your clients that you are working with other people. No, you should not do that. And the reality for you is that you are going to actually devise a way to balance these multiple clients with competing demands. And how do you do that? What is your solution? You have working systems and you communicate well. So far, these two things are in place for you. You are, you are good to go. You are good to go. Another thing I used to tell my students is that you should not now take on full-time roles. So you are working with three clients, and the three clients, they are full-time roles. You are going to kill yourself. So you can take up a client with, that is offering a full-time role. You can take up a client that maybe they just want you to work 10 to 15 hours per week. You can take up another one that wants you to work maybe just 5 hours or even lesser per week. You get. So that is how to actually, juggle multiple. You should not take up full-time roles, and no, 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 that's not good enough. Oh. You won't be able to survive it. Or else you are now an agency that have people, you have people that works for you and all of that. You get. So that is that about that. Then when you now have, multiple clients and there is now conflicting deadlines, how do you handle it? How do you handle it? So it is a two-way thing. Number one is that you devise a means to actually handle both. You devise a means to actually handle both deadlines and you submit as at when due, or you negotiate with one of them. You look for one that seems like, okay, I think I have a good relationship with this person, and you just tell the person, oh, I will not be able to, turn this in. You negotiate with them, you negotiate intelligently with them. You negotiate intelligently. You let them, you know, feel as much as you are trying to also be on, like, be able to, deliver and not be burn out and all of that. You should also still put them first. Rub their emotion, rub their ego. And trust me, if you know your way, you will just, you'll be fine. That's just it. You'll be very, very fine. You'll be very, 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 very fine. So the last thing that we want to talk about is following up and reporting. Following up and reporting. Following up is a very, very, like, is a very important thing to do. I think we, at every point in time in this, in our classes, we've spoke about follow-ups. Yes, we spoke about follow-ups a lot. And why does follow-up matter? Is because they're actually tasks that actually require your follow-up. So number one is maybe like an email that is not responded to, a task that is assigned to, somebody, and the person has refused to do it, an approval that is pending, a proposal that is sent and you've not heard from the person, an invoice that is unpaid. Maybe like there is somebody that is supposed to be paid for a particular job to be done, and the person is not paid. That obviously needs a whole lot, like a follow up. Maybe like a commitment that is made by others. So you actually need to follow all of these things up. And when you don't follow up, all of these tasks stall. All these tasks, they stall. You miss deadlines, you miss opportunity, your projects are delayed, payments are delayed, and of course your reputation as a virtual assistant is damaged. And I know you don't want that for yourself, which is why you need a working system, a system that will move things forward, a system with clear accountability, a system with professional reputation. Your client will even be confident in you that okay, this person has all of these things under their, I am good to go. I can go and sleep as long as my VA is there. He or she is going to get these things done, and work flows smoothly without any stalling whatsoever, So that is that about follow-ups. And I would really love to talk about how you actually follow up, what you do when you follow up. You have to be polite, you have to be professional, you have to provide context. Like, the person you are talking to might have forgotten, so provide context. Make reference to maybe your previous communication, or something. Make it really easy for them to actually respond to you. Assume positive intent. Don't assume that the person intentionally did not attend to that thing that you want the person to attend to. They're as busy as you are, you understand? And include your original message. So maybe like how the whole conversation started. Maybe you can just help them to actually remember. So you can do that by just including the original message, and you follow up persistently but graciously. Don't be a nuisance in their DMs or in their emails the way you people do to me in my DMs and my emails. No, don't be a nuisance. Don't do it graciously. Do it graciously. Somebody still sent me a message today, and I'm like, really? Hello, madam. Did the person even put hello? The person just say, madam. I am trying to to fill the form. I saw that the form is now closed, this and that. The person just wrote a lot of things there. I just look at it and I pass by, because I don't have any word for someone like that. So you should actually follow up graciously. Don't The fact that the person is your junior colleague or like your colleague does not mean you should not be gracious to them. How much more you're now following up with your client, like your boss, the person that is paying your money. So you should do it graciously. So while you are following up, you should not sound annoyed or pass aggression. You should not say vague follow up, something like, I am just checking in. Checking in on what? No. You should not also follow up too frequently. You should not be a nuisance in their DMs. I say it, do it graciously. Do it graciously. So, and another thing that I want us to talk about is escalation and issue management. Escalation and issue management. So there are some times that as a virtual assistant, because you've been given the, the veto power to actually carry out some tasks and all of that, and you just feel that you are the boss of the company. No, you should still escalate on some matters. So when you miss a deadline, because sometimes you would not, it is not only your clients that you are going to be in communication with. Sometimes you might have to be in communication with your clients' customers. So let's say you miss a deadline with your client's customer. Don't go ahead and go and be a nuisance in your client's customer's DM and you start begging them, telling them all sort of things. Make sure you tell your clients, oh, you missed this deadline. You apologize. It was because of something. So, like, you should escalate on issues like that. Maybe there's a budget that has been exceeded, please escalate. Security or privacy breach, this one is for maybe the your client's account or something is looking like the password has been hacked or something. Escalate ASAP. Maybe something stops working or something got broken. Escalate. A vendor is not responsive. Escalate. You can't resolve something on your own. Escalate. And because I've now said you should escalate, does not now mean that when there are now minor inconveniences, you should also know things that you can still do, that your boss has given you that veto power to do. Please do it without escalation. Do it without escalation. And how do you escalate? You state the issue clearly, you explain the impact of the issue, you also state what you have tried to do about the issue. You provide options for resolution. You um you you ask for their input, and you also put a timeline as in, okay, we have to do this thing as at this time so that it does not um exceed the deadline. So, and there's a tone that you can use when you are escalating. Your tone should be serious, calm, solution oriented, and accountable, not blaming. There are some of us that, in fact, avoid blaming when you are trying to escalate. Avoid panic, avoid vagueness, avoid helplessness. Don't say, I don't even know what to do. I don't know. There is nothing I can do. Please don't do that. Don't blame. The way you people, you have been blaming me for your assignments. The way you people have been blaming me for a lot of things that I don't even know why you should be blaming me for. We Nigerians, I don't know, we blame people for our downfall. You blame somebody for your downfall. You should not blame when you are escalating. You see all of the things that we do to ourselves. When you get to a professional setting, please dead all those attitude, dead all those character. It does not work there. It's going to cost you your job. It's going to cost you your job. So we should actually do better. You should do better. So I think that is all for this class. That is all for this. I apologize for this my presentation. This basic spreadsheet skills for admin VA. I should have changed it. It's supposed to be tax management and coordination, but it skipped my mind. So that will be all for today's class. I'll be expecting your questions. Anything whatsoever that you have to say, I would be expecting them. And don't forget to turn in your assignments. I mentioned it in the video I dropped about the assignment, that if you did not submit last week assignment, you don't have to submit it this week. Yes, just keep it to yourself. It's only people that submitted um assignments last week that I actually want to see their assignments this week. So please make my work easy by not submitting. at all. So that will be the end of this class. Thank you for joining. See you guys in the classroom. Bye.